Aerial photography and orthophotography. What's the difference? What is aerial photography? Aerial photography is a type of photography in which you capture images that are distant from in the air. The topic of aerial photography can encompass many different fields such as military reconnaissance, geology, agriculture, and more. But it can also use different means of technology such as drones, helicopters, or airplanes. Types of aerial photography. From air balloons to pigeons. You've learned so far that there are various types of aerial photography that exist today. But as technology advances, the sophistication of aerial photography increases. There are several ways to acquire aerial photos. Each one has its benefits and drawbacks. For one, it's the best time to use each method of acquisition, but it's often the type of study that will determine the type of aerial photography you should use. We provide general guidelines for the benefits of using each type, but keep in mind that every situation is different from one another. Helicopter airplanes. Get to the chopper in an Arnold Schwarzenegger style of voice. Helicopters and airplanes have served as a mainstream option for capturing aerial imagery for quite some time. Here are some of their benefits and drawbacks. ADDA and TGS longer flight time compared to drones. Pilot phone flight path. Full IDAR capabilities. EIS and DEA and EDS. Sole coverage in comparison satellites, sizes for flight operation, cash or costs. Handling operations is time consuming. Satellite. There are hundreds of satellites that already orbit the Earth. Here are the most popular 50 satellites for Earth observation. Although you might think this is the most costly option, satellite imagery has come down in cost over the years. Here are some of its advantages and disadvantages. ADDA and TGS. Wide coverage, high to coarse resolution products. Range of spectral bands from satellites. Imagery is readily available on demand. DIS, ADDA and TGS. Lack of flexibility due to position in orbit. Cloud obstruction can reduce the quality of an image. No LiDAR capabilities. Drone UAV. As technology advances, more people are turning to drones as a way to explore their surroundings and understand their environment better. The drone and unmanned aerial vehicle UAV or drone industry has seen rapid growth over the past few years, as companies and governments look for affordable ways to get video and photos from remote areas and overhead perspectives. Although this industry is still in its infancy, it's expected to continue growing at a rapid pace. ADDA and TGS. Flexible for where you can capture aerial imagery and do it for targeted size. Very high resolution products. Can include LiDAR capabilities. Requirements for flight operations is less. DIS, ADDA and TGS. Require the operator to fire drones. Safety rules and limitations for where you are permitted to fire. Small coverage set. Area must maintain a line of sight with drone aerial photography via orthophotography way take an aerial photograph captured in the air. Then put it into the graphic context. Instead of just an ordinary image. Orthophotography can get real world coordinates by strength scaling, pursuing it into physical space. No footage corrects the geometric distortion that's inherent in imagery. You have the footage and real-world coordinates. You can measure distances with a rate watching to other real orthophoto. But when you have a collection of images, then you geometrically correct them all together. This is the process of creating an orthomosaic. When you merge each image together, you have to carefully take into account color balancing, sequence, and other factors. Use cases of aerial photography. Aerial photography can encompass many different fields such as architecture, geology, and natural history. While the wide range of uses for aerial photography can seem infinite, it typically falls into the categories: commercial and recreational. Commercial uses. The commercial use of aerial photography spans many fields such as agriculture, construction, and natural resource management. This usually involves airborne surveys or imaging to determine land use, plant growth, soil conditions, or erosion patterns. Aerial photography can also be used for scientific purposes, such as tracking the spread of wildfires, or measuring how much water has been absorbed into the ground from rainfall. Whereas for scientific studies like climate change, it can be a gauge for measuring the rise of sea levels and even melting glaciers. Aerial photography has many legal uses. For example, in construction, aerial photographs are used to assess damage to buildings that have been struck by natural disasters. In civil engineering, aerial photos are used to measure and document obstruction on roadways without having to make vehicle insurance danger. Recreational uses. In contrast, recreational aerial photography typically consists of fire taking a camera equipment for the purpose of capturing spectacular view of nature at its most beautiful moments. From landscapes of wildlife to urban sprawl, there's no limit to where you can take aerial photographs. Although they can require special permits and training, they offer an opportunity to see the world from new perspectives. Another area of interest is the acquisition of vintage aerial photographs. Whether you're a history buff or someone who would love to explore some new historical places, history comes alive when we see it through vintage aerial photos. Aerial photography vs. Orthophotography. The term aerial means above the ground, so a photograph taken from a helicopter, drone pigeon, or satellite is all technically an aerial photo. Its use cases and applications can range from military reconnaissance, map and survey, and even recreation photography, because looking down from above gives a whole new perspective on your surroundings. Aerial photography has become essential in environmental data, monitoring crop growth, and collecting topographical information. And today, aerial photography is an essential part of geographic information systems, GIS, and remote sensing. So goodbye, and have fun time in channel. Don't forget to subscribe, plus share, plus turn on bell. Hasta la vista.